Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Find somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Man, oh man. Oh my Lord, it has been quite a busy day. What a heavy news week today. I got to be real. There's a lot going on here, but of course, I wanted to give you guys some updates on this whole thing before we get into this press conference, because that press conference is going to be coming up in about a half hour from now. But I wanted to give you guys the nitty gritty, the info, and some of these other things that are still percolating around this situation. I also do have a favor to ask of you guys, which I'm going to mention this to you guys here in just a minute. Okay, it's a very, very simple thing. Okay, I have I'll ask it in a second. Okay, again, a lot going on today. It is a heavy news week. Wow. All surrounding around the Long Island SKer. Okay, we got to use these code words, unfortunately, but we got some new information. We got some other stuff. We got some news clips, etc. And we still have a press conference coming up in less than 30 minutes from now. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit. Okay. And this is, again, some wild new developments in this story. So we are going to be getting into it very, very shortly. So do me a favor, guys, as you guys start to file in, because I know that there's other channels that are covering this as well. Some of them have been streaming all day since the start of this and all that, since the news dropped and all that. And I commend them for not taking a break. Okay. But I needed to big time. So do me a favor. If you can, hit that like button down below, because obviously there's more information that's starting to develop as we continue on with today. It's getting crazier and crazier. Let me just say this really quick. Pizza? Really? Pizza? Pizza? Yeah, I'll explain later. But anyway, guys, please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Send it past 300 likes as you start to file in, okay? Welcome to the show. I appreciate you guys being here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. All right. And let's be real. I mean, I know there's other guys working hard out here in these streets too, but let's be real. I only tell these stories my way. Okay. So if you appreciate that and enjoy that, please, by all means, hit that subscribe button, hit that join button, join the family. Okay, become a family member. And of course, if you want to support the channel even more, you can support me by going over to patreon.com/the Pascal Show and becoming a patron. Quite simple as hell. Okay, I'm going to kill this really quick because we got to get into some things. Okay, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things that are popping off as of late. There is some new information about what we've been talking about. Again, they do have a suspect, and I want to show you his face one more again. His name is Rex, or he goes by Rex. His name is Rex Heuermann. Hopefully, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, okay? But Rex Heuermann. He is the prime suspect. Okay, he is the suspect that they are honing in on. They have arrested him early this morning, in connection to a whole bunch of tragedies that have been happening for decades. And from what we're understanding, this man was hiding in plain sight. If this really is the guy, again, I hate to say it, but I have to, because that's just how the world works. It is innocent till proven guilty in a court of law. So let me just make that abundantly clear, okay? It is innocent till proven guilty in a court of law, but they believe that they got their guy. From what we are understanding so far, we're going to be getting into some things. We got some conversations to talk about. We got some articles to look at. We got the press conference, which will be happening in less than 25 minutes from now. So we will be watching that together as a family, as usual. But I do want to share a few things with you guys before we go into that. Now, a lot of us might be wondering, how did this happen? How did they get this mother lover, right? How did they get this guy? Well, we got an article. We're going to take a look at it. Okay. Long Island's SKer, suspect Rex Heuermann, 59, pleads not guilty to 6 counts of M. 6, not just 4, 6. Okay. As prosecutors reveal bombshell DNA and cell phone evidence, and his sadistic Google searches for updates about this case. They got DNA, y'all. They got DNA. It's a wrap, son. It's a wrap, son. And how they got the DNA? Will surprise you. It will surprise you, actually. It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. It's interesting how you let some time go by and those cocky monsters that are out there just end up just getting a little lazy. They get a lot of lazy, right? And he slipped up and he got caught. At least that's what they're claiming. Okay. Him guilty indeed. Him guilty. Okay. Him guilty big time. All right. Nicole, thank you so much. Whoa. Thank you so much. The chat is moving pretty quick. Thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you so very much, Nicole. Thank you. Dag nabbit, thank you. I really do appreciate that. I'm working hard here, man. I'm working hard. Anyway, I appreciate the support. Seriously. Okay. Welcome to the family, all you who have become members now. Okay. All right. So we gotta get into this. I'm so excited. You know what I mean? And I just can't hide it. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited about this. I'm excited about hearing some news, some good news. Okay. But real quick, before we go into this, I have a small favor to ask you guys. And Nicole Rico, thank you so much for being a member for the past 4 months, first off. And she says, you're very welcome in the members chat. Thank you. Seriously. Thank you for your support. Don't forget to hit that like button, y'all. Hit it. Send it past 300 likes as you guys start to file in. We are getting into it today, this afternoon. They're going to be dropping some very, very interesting information. I feel like we're going to be reading a lot of it in this article here before the press conference. But hey, I like to hear from the horse's mouth, right? From the source itself. So I'm here for it all the live long day. But I do have a small favor to ask of you guys, okay? I just recently posted a video just about 15, 20 something minutes ago. Let me see. How long ago did I post this video? Let's find out. I posted it about 35 minutes ago. Okay, there's a video or there's a story that is now starting to take off about this young woman from Alabama by the name of Carly Russell. She was taken last night when she was helping a little kid on the side of the highway. I think the kid was used as bait to get her. Okay. There was apparently a struggle and she is now gone. She went and she disappeared. All I'm asking for you guys to do is, number one, if you guys can take the time to watch the video, it's not very long. And 2, if you can share it. If you can share the video, or if you can just hashtag her name, share an article about her on your platforms, wherever you are watching this show. I even uploaded it onto my Facebook page. So if it's in the middle of uploading right now as we speak. So it will be up there very, very soon. If you can share that video, standalone video, because I want to help bring awareness towards that situation right now. I know that we're all super obsessed and super focused on this, Gilgo Beach monster, okay? But also at the same time, this is also going on right now, and the family needs our help. So if you can spread the word, let people know what's going on, that'll be greatly, greatly appreciated. Okay? Thank you. All right. And take the time to take a watch. Take a listen to the information, because if you are in that area, maybe you can help solve that situation and bring them closer to finding that young woman. Okay. 25-year-old Carly Russell is still missing, and she was taken yesterday. Okay. And again, apparently it's a thing. They're using little kids to use them as bait to take people against their will. Just so you know. Okay. All right. So, and yes, it needs attention as soon as possible, because the first 48 hours, I agree, Laura Lee, because within the first 48 hours, that's the most crucial. After 48 hours, it can be really bad. Okay. So it can get more and more difficult. So please share. I'm sorry. Just a little bit of a left turn. We're going to get into this. I promise you, we're right here. Back to the story, back to what everybody is focusing in on right now. Okay. And this is crazy. The information that's in here and the videos that are out here that are people, the news clips that are coming out, etc. This is crazy, crazy, crazy. And yes, I said go, not dill, not the dilly, not the dilly. Okay. Dilly. Isn't that something? Isn't that from a beer commercial or something? Anyway, so I already read the title of this, so let's just jump right into it. Again, they said they revealed bombshell DNA. Oh, and I forgot. Let me show you guys this too. Don't mean to be all over the place, but let me just show you guys this too, because it just feels so good when you see somebody and they're like this when they did something bad and they're doing the perp walk. Okay, not the crip walk. They're doing the perp walk, y'all. Yeah, he's a big dude. He's actually pretty tall, unless those are just really short individuals. Okay, that's a big dude. Okay, so that's proof positive that man has been arrested. He is in custody as we speak. Of course, the prosecutors revealed DNA, that they have bombshell DNA and cell phone evidence. And apparently they looked up, see now, like, you don't ever go on Google and start typing in ish that you know is criminal. I mean, let's be honest. Remember Anna Walsh, her piece of trash husband, Brian Walsh, right? Who clearly did the unthinkable because of what he was Googling, how to get rid of a body, so on and so forth. That's what he was doing in his Google searches. Idiotic movements. And I think this guy who was hiding in plain sight was doing very well, and then he got lazy. He got really, really lazy. Okay, let's get into this. Okay, so Long Island SKer suspect. Excuse me. We already know Rex Huerman left his wife's hair on 3 of the S workers. He is accused of unaliving, and his own DNA on another's body, prosecutors have revealed. So he was out here and he didn't even realize that he had some of his wife's hair on him. I'm not kidding. DNA. Oh, he's an idiot. But DNA, and he's a monster, obviously. And yes, I'm glad he got caught this way. He's out here cheating on his wife, first off, number one. 2, doing these unthinkable things, right? Taking the lives of these women, these S workers, right? But leaving his wife's hair on the victims. And some of his own DNA on the victims as well. So Huerman, 59, was dramatically arrested last night in Midtown Manhattan outside his architectural office on 5th Avenue, 13 years after the bodies were found. Okay? Hiding in plain sight for 13 years, y'all. There are growing questions over why it took investigators so long to set their sights on him. Police say it was the new DA forming a task force last year that was dedicated to the case that finally cracked it. Huerman is suspected in the unalivings of the Gilgo Beach Four. There were 4 S workers whose remains were found on the Long Island beach in December of 2010. Today, Huerman was charged with the unalivings of Melissa Barthélemy, Amber Costello, and Megan Waterman. During the initial court appearance, he appeared smug, puffing his cheeks out and nodding as some of the charges were read. He pleaded not guilty to all 6 charges, 3 counts of first-degree M and 3 of second-degree M. Now, that's the thing I'm wondering about. What are the other 3, right? He's got first-degree M and 3 counts of second-degree M. So I'm wondering what the second-degree M covers. But moving on. He pleaded not guilty to all 6 charges. What else is new? All right. So after the hearing, his attorney said he had not yet reviewed the evidence, but warned everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Of course. Huerman was taken into custody without bail and will return to court on August 1st. So they got what, like 2.5 weeks, something like that, before he has to appear in court again. Okay. And damn right, he is held without bail. I don't want to see him out here. Do you? He'll just kick rocks, I think. I'm sure he got money. Okay. Suffolk County District Attorney Tierney told the court his teams intended to follow Huerman, who they have been watching since last year for longer, but feared he was about to flee the country. He was named as a prime suspect in the unaliving of Maureen Brainard Barnes, and is also being investigated for the unalivings of another 6 women found near the beach in 2011. Ahead of his appearance, prosecutors released their bombshell evidence against him that includes his wife's DNA found on 3 of the victims' bodies. One of his own hairs was found on one of the victims' bodies. Cell phone calls made from a burner phone to the victims who were traced to his office. A call made to one of the victim's sisters after she passed. Remember, we talked about that earlier. After she passed, was traced to his office. His Tinder profile with photos of him was linked to the burner phone. He was out there. Y'all, he was out here. Like, I'm dead ass. He was out here. He was on Tinder with his own profile that linked to the burner phone. How do you do that? Why would you do that if you don't want to get caught? I'm just saying, this is lazy. This is sloppy. I'm telling y'all, this is ridiculous. But we can go and continue. All right. So he had a burner phone. He had a Tinder profile connected to a burner phone. Tell me you did it without telling me you did it. You feel me? Tell me you did it without telling me you did it. Okay. His Chevrolet pickup truck was seen by witness to one victim's disappearance. He matches description of ogre-like man seen with one victim before she vanished. Huerman conducted graphic searches for CP and other images of women being SA'd. He also searched Google for updates on the case, searching why could law enforcement not trace the calls made by the Long Island SKer. Ogre like, hold up. Let's take a look at this dude one more time. Yeah. He's got some curvature in his neck, in his back. You know what I mean? You got that ogre vibe. An ogre type man. Yeah. Yeah, little Patty. Little Patty. Indeed. Hilarious. Okay. Evidence was laid out in a 32-page letter by Suffolk County District Office explaining why he shouldn't be granted bail. It details how a new task force set up by the Suffolk County DA last year came across his name within months of investigation, prompting questions about why previous investigative units failed to nail him. Heuermann's first link to the case is through the Chevrolet Avalanche truck that he owned in 2009 and 2010 when the women were unalived. The vehicle was seen at the homes of at least one of the victims the day before she went missing. Heuermann also matches the description of an ogre-like man, which we just talked about, but an ogre-like man. The ogre-like man visited one of the victims the night before she passed. In that case, he is said to have arranged a meeting with Amber Costello for, the thing, Sideways Samba, at her home. Costello and a male friend conducted a ruse whereby the male friend pretended to interrupt their hookup, claiming he was an angry boyfriend. The man who'd paid for the situation was forced to leave with his money on the table. Like this was his profile photo. This was his profile photo, guys. Okay, moving on. Just drink it in, guys. Just drink it in. Just drink it in. Oh my God. Okay. Moving on. But still, that's the face of a potential monster. Ay, caramba. Okay. And there's a list of stuff here, which is what? These are some of the searches conducted. On his computer. Ooh, we're going to look at that in just a minute. We're going to go back to that. But he left the money on the table. We're kind of in the middle of the story. This is right here. This is how you do it. So, detectives seized the pizza box he'd thrown in the trash. I'm sorry. In January last year, after watching Heuermann and his family since last March, they were watching him for that long, guys. The detectives in the case seized the pizza box he had thrown in the trash outside his Manhattan office. Pizza! Pizza! A pizza box got him. The pizza box was taken from a trash can right there outside of his Midtown office. Right there. That be where the pizza box be. I'm sorry. You can't. I gotta laugh at it. It's hilarious. And it's on public. It's in public, right? It's public property. Okay, so it is like Koberger, but kind of not all at the same doggone time, because they can't sit there, and I would hope they can't sit there and go, well, it was in his private domicile, so therefore you can't use it for evidence, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't know what the defense team, his defense team is going to say, what kind of things they're going to pull out their ash, but at the same time, like, that's out there in the public. That's public. That's on the streets. That's New York streets right there, guys. Okay, so there's no way they can sit there and go, but it was nope, can't. If it was outside in a public trash can, that'd be public. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It makes me feel good. Okay, let's continue. And I'm going to go back to all this here in a second, I promise. I promise, because the press conference is going to be happening here very, very shortly. Okay. And we gotta get into that. I need to make sure that that's all set up so we can rock and mother love and roll. But again, unfreaking believable. Okay. Unbelievable. He got caught. He got. Well, that's what happens. This is what you do when you want to get caught. Do as they do. Okay. But I'm guaranteeing you right now, you don't want that. You don't want that. So it's going to be starting here in just a minute. Hold on real quick. Tara, thank you so much for joining the fam. Welcome. Okay. Sorry, one second. I'm just trying to make sure I got the right one, because people have been calling it so many different things. They called the Gilgo, the Gilgo Beach unalivings. They're calling it the Lisk. You know what I mean? So there's so many different versions of this, and it's like, dang, what is everybody calling it? You know what I mean? So we could just call it that, and call it a day. You know? But okay, so I got WFLA. Shout out to WFLA there for having access to this press conference. We're going to be watching it through them here shortly. Okay, but we are still waiting. Hold on, let's hear what
it's opened up again, and the answers will come somewhat slowly. You know, we'll have this news conference, but of course they're going to, I'm sure, keep it close to themselves, a lot of the details, and we won't find out a lot right away, and then it'll trickle out as paperwork is filed, as evidence is uncovered, as search warrants are issued for perhaps other scenes or sites that are tied to the defendant. You'll find out more information in those affidavits.
All right, let's see here who is walking up. And now that we have our feed situation fixed, we're going to launch live across all platforms. Stand by.
WFLA Now will begin momentarily.
One thing I will say, and we will watch this, trust me, we're not steering away from this, but one thing that I do find very interesting, and I wish the quality was a little bit better. It's even crappy on WFLA. But I really hope that they get more. Well, we get to hear everything, how they were able to obtain everything. What really made them go straight to this guy? Okay. Like they said, this is the man. He did it. He done did it. You know what I mean?
WFLA Now will begin momentarily.
Let me see if I can find a better one, because them freezing like that is never good. Okay. Yeah, Kevzy, he did the damn thing. I mean, they did a pizza box, y'all. Okay, a pizza box.
Breaking news. WFLA Now.
WFLA Now. So, let's see.
In the Gilgo Beach serial murders from more
This is so crazy.
than 13 years ago, the suspect, a Long Island architect, has pleaded not guilty this afternoon. And we're moments away from a press conference where we're expected to learn more information about an arrest more than a decade in the making. Hello there to you folks. JB here with you live now officially across all platforms on WFLA Now. We were just live with Walt Buteau, our senior investigator. He had to step away for other stories that are unfolding today in the state of Florida. This was the scene earlier on today in Massapequa on Long Island in New York, the home of 59-year-old Rex Heuermann. And I'm going to show you the home here. Show you Rex Heuermann here from his website, Rex Heuermann Consultants and Associates. He is the suspect that has been arrested and now pleaded not guilty in relation to the murders of Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. Amber Costello, who used to live right here in the Tampa Bay area in Clearwater.
Of course, he pled not guilty.
There has been a lot of difficulty with many media organizations descending on Riverhead, New York. The signal out of this room is just horrendous. And this is
I was going to say, this is
scenario
trash.
that is unfolding for a lot of different media organizations that are having difficulty calibrating any kind of a meaningful signal, because this is the most highly anticipated press conference of the day, without a doubt. Social media, of course, talking about this story quite a bit, as far as going back to 13 years ago, when body after body, remains after remains, they just continuously kept getting found in Gilgo Beach, New York, as they were authorities were searching for at the time, missing 24-year-old woman Shannon Gilbert of Jersey City. But as those searches for Shannon, I'll show you some of the video that we have here as well, as those search efforts for Shannon would play out over those weeks, those exhausting days and weeks, they would just continuously find more human remains. And every time they sent off the human remains to determine who that person was, it was another female, and it was not Shannon Gilbert. They kept finding all of these remains until the body count reached double digits. And of course, these victims, their families have been just praying for justice for more than a decade now.
Agreed. You know what just came up? What just popped in my head? They said, ogre-like dude. Look at this. Look at him. You know what I mean? Looking like an oversized Gilgo Baggins. I don't know. I tried. Anyway, back to the story.
Is breaking up due to the high volume
the Hobbit, no,
media
nobody.
presence at the location
Hobbit.
of the District Attorney's Office of Suffolk County. This is Riverhead, New York, and we're trying to recalibrate this signal to get the press conference back here for you. We'll do our very best to bring it here to you live.
Yeah, this is trash. So while they're because there's
one of the reasons why there's a lot of people moving around right now is because they're trying to improve the signal quality. But as I explained earlier, as far as the analogy that I can use to describe what it's like when you have an inside press conference at an official government building like this, everyone's trying to get on the same internet,
right?
And it's like cramming 50 toothpicks into a straw. Everyone's just fighting and competing for their bandwidth real estate.
He just said that, and it's like, and that's true. That's why it's not my internet, it's their internet. And of course, this is huge news. So of course, they're going to want to have the best internet that they can have, because they're addressing the world about this information. This is massive information. So of course they're going to do everything they can to get this to work. You know what I mean? Okay. But I'm still watching this. Don't worry. I'm still keeping an eye on this, because this is oh man, it is bad. You should look at this. This is bad. Look at that. Eek. Ay caramba.
Time now, 4:04 Eastern time. Stand by.
Yeah, so we're gonna be standing by. We definitely gonna be standing by. Okay, but we're gonna continue on with our stories while we wait. Okay, because we were just having fun with the pizza, right? A pizza box caught him. Okay, so let's get back to this. Yeah, the Hunchback of Notre Dame. You know what I'm saying? I'm just Gilgo Baggins. You know what I'm saying? Just I don't know. Just terrible. So he's been charged with 6. Okay, let me just repeat that one more again. Okay, he was charged with 6, 3 counts of first degree and 3 counts of second degree. He pled not guilty to all 6. Okay, so we got some things. He has a Tinder profile. He got caught. They used DNA from a pizza box, from him eating from a crust of pizza. I don't even know. This is probably just regular New York style pizza, and New York style pizza is fire. I'll just say it out loud. Okay, I'll say the quiet part out loud. All right, hold on. Let me check one more time. Make sure. Oh, maybe they're doing something. Whoops. Oh shoot. Sugar. All right. Maybe they got it figured out. Maybe they got it figured out. Hold on. It looks like they might. Hold on.
Oh, I was like, who's that?
They might have gotten the internet figured out. They might have.
All right, folks, I just communicated with our team. We now have 3 feeds up coming into the Stream Center, and being able to, of course, bring you this coverage here from the Stream Center. We're able to get a lot of different feeds loaded up here, but by far the toothpick that is winning, so to speak, as far as the analogy I was making earlier, this is the best feed, and we'll stay with this feed. Again, the press conference expected to begin momentarily. Again, the highly anticipated information, and actually now, I think we have
false alarm.
Oh, no, I thought that was
yeah, that was a false alarm. JP
walking in.
He was like, nope.
No, this is actually
yes,
the press
it
conference.
is.
I believe this is beginning now.
Yeah,
after the press conference is over. What we are going to do is we are going to take your comments and questions live. So after the press conference, we'll break down what we have learned and what we are still to learn here from New York.
Hit that like button down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Now live from the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office.
Let's rock and roll. Hamburger.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming. I'm standing here with my law enforcement partners in the Gilgo Task Force to announce the indictment of defendant Rex Andrew Heuermann, 59 years of age. He's been arrested by the Suffolk County Police Department's homicide detectives, and he's been indicted in a grand jury presentation by the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office for the murders of Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. The investigation of Maureen Brainerd Barnes is ongoing. These young women went missing between July of 2007 and September of 2010. They were found in December of 2010 by the Suffolk County Police Department, and then there was nothing, absolutely nothing. For the next 13 years, their cases went unsolved until today. When I took office in January of 2022, I made Gilgo a priority. I made Gilgo a priority before I took office. I met with the victims' families, some of whom I'm proud to have standing with us today. And I told them that we were going to handle this case differently. We were going to do it differently. And that when I showed up, you weren't going to see me calling the media and being on Gilgo Beach with a giant magnifying lens looking for clues 12 years after the case. What I was going to do was I was going to work with my task force. We were going to form this task force, and we were going to work together.
There we go.
And we were going to use the grand jury, the power of the grand jury to reach a determination in this case. Because the grand jury has two things. It has power, it has reach. You could obtain documents, you could interview witnesses. But the other thing that the grand jury has secrecy. No one knows what you do when you operate a grand jury proceeding. And we knew that when we were investigating this case and when we dealt with the media or whatever it was we were doing, we were playing before a party of one, because we knew the person responsible for these murders would be looking at us. So we were very careful how we handled the investigation. We maintained the integrity of the investigation. Most importantly of all, we maintained the secrecy of that investigation. And I think that's paid dividends as we've seen today. Now, I think that when we had the task force, the first thing we did, got together with Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison. We formed the task force. Our first meeting was February 1st of 2022. And what we did, what all of the agencies here, we made the commitment. We were going to take our talented, our most talented investigators. So in the district attorney's office, we took ADAs, myself included. We took analysts, we took detective investigators, and they worked on a daily basis with other talented investigators from all of the agencies here. We started that in February 1st in 2022. 6 weeks later, on March 14th, 2022, the name Rex Heuermann was first mentioned as a suspect in the Gilgo case. A New York State investigator was able to identify him in a database, and from that point on, we used the power of the grand jury, over 300 subpoenas and search warrants, looking into this individual's background to bring us to this day. So I'm proud. I know that this case is over, but I'm proud of what we've accomplished up to this point. I know we have more to accomplish, but I'm also thankful for the partnership of the task force, because certainly without the participation of the task force, we wouldn't be standing here. Before I thank some folks and turn it over to our partners, I just want to talk a little bit about the evidence in the case. I know a lot of people know about the case. As I indicated, the victims went missing between July of 2010 and July of 2007 and September of 2010. In December of 2010, they were their bodies were recovered. They were buried in a similar fashion, at a similar location, in a similar way. All the women were petite. They were they all did the same thing for a living. They all advertised the same way, and there were immediately there were similarities with regard to the crime scenes. All the women were bound at the head, at the midsection, or at the chest, and later at the legs. The other thing I think that that's been talked about in the media was they were bound by burlap. That has taken a life of its own in the media, and the burlap has been described or thought to be the burlap that's used at a nursery for. That's not the burlap that was used in this case. The burlap was camouflage burlap used for duck blinds of hunting. Obviously it was used to purposely hide the bodies. One thing that became immediately apparent was at the time of each of the murders, the murderer, the defendant Heuermann, he got a cell phone and a burner phone, which is prepaid and anonymous. And for each of the murders, he got an individual burner phone, and he used that to communicate with the victims. Then shortly after the death of the victims, he then would get rid of the burner phone. Right away in December of 2012, FBI CAST analysts, special agents with the CAST unit of the FBI, they immediately began looking at that cell site data. They compared the victims' phones with the burner phones, and they immediately honed in on some similarities, specifically in the Massapequa Park area. And they looked at an area of a confluence of 4 cell towers, and they realized that this had significance because the perpetrator of these crimes was probably located within this area at or around the times of the murder. And that was mapped out. That was called the box, and it was an area in Massapequa Park. The FBI also managed to do that for an area in Midtown Manhattan. And so that was an investigative lead. The other investigative lead at the time was, even though there was a significant amount of time that elapsed with regard to before the victims were recovered, there was some significant evidence recovered. Specifically, there was a hair recovered from Maureen Brainerd Barnes from a belt buckle that was around her legs. With regard to Megan Waterman, there were 3 hairs recovered from her, one from around her head area, one from around her leg area in the burlap, and then there was one caught in between the tape. And that was recovered. Amber Costello also had a significant hair that was recovered during the time of the recovery. But again, the crime scene, because it was out there for so long and because it was exposed to the elements, those hairs were degraded, so you couldn't use traditional DNA analysis on it. You would have to wait and use mitochondrial DNA. And back in 2010, the technology wasn't there for mitochondrial DNA. So the investigation proceeded, but also technology proceeded as well. And then in January and February of 2022, we formed the task force. We began working collectively. And then a mere 6 weeks later, on March 14th, 2022, Rex Heuermann was identified for the first time. And the manner in which that was done was the New York State investigator looked at a database. Amber Costello, the day before her disappearance on September 1st, 2010, she met with an individual for the purposes of having him pay her money for her services. But she involved herself in a ruse where once the individual gave her money, and other individuals came into the house, pretended to be a significant others, confronted the individual with the purpose of making that individual uncomfortable, having him leave without retrieving his money. And that's exactly what happened. So that individual was identified as a person who was between 6'4" and 6'6", a large man, thickly built, not necessarily overly muscular, but just a naturally big person.
Naturally.
With glasses, white, and dark hair. Also of significance was that the fact that he was driving a dark-colored black first generation Chevrolet Avalanche with a very unique feature that was between it's a pickup truck, so it was between the cab and the bed, and that was identified. Again, that was back in 2010.
Hamburger.
But it wasn't until March of 2022 that database was searched by the task force, and this individual was identified. That individual was Rex Heuermann, the defendant. And right away, there were some commonalities that came right to the fore. Rex Heuermann, 6'4", largely a large person, not necessarily muscular, but a very physically large person.
Yes.
He has glasses.
Ogre looking.
He has the dark hair. And also, of particular note, he owned at the time that first generation Chevy Avalanche. There was more. He lived at 105 First Avenue, which was located within that box area that the FBI first discovered in 2012. But there was more. Also, he worked at the time at an architect and he owned his own architectural firm at an address at 19 West 36th Street in Midtown Manhattan. And that was also the area of interest that was identified by the FBI in 2012. Again, that was March 14th, 2022. And from that point on, our partners and my office, we used the grand jury to continue to investigate. And we executed over 300 subpoenas, search warrants pertaining to this individual to find out more information. One of the things that we did is we followed him because we wanted to get an abandonment sample of his DNA, which we were able to do. We also got DNA samples, abandonment samples from his family. And then we went back and we got mitochondrial DNA testing. And with regard to, there's an aspect of New York State law that doesn't allow me to talk about DNA testing, specifically at press conferences. It's so I can't do that. However, at the arraignment, and also when we filed our bail letter, we talked about the significance of that evidence. So if anyone needs to see that, but suffice to say, that evidence was significant, especially with regard to the other evidence that we had developed. But it was there was another interesting aspect. We looked at the Uhrman family travel records, and we learned that during the murders of the last three women, Barthelemy, Waterman, and Costello, that during the commission of those murders, the defendant's wife and children were out of New York State, and he was alone in the tri-state area. We also went back and looked at his cell site records, and we compared his personal cell site records with that of the 4 target phones, and we saw that there were areas of commonality. In other words, that whenever the target phones would bounce off a cell tower, if the Uhrman personal phone bounced off a tower, it was always consistent and in close proximity with the target phones. At no time was there ever an instant where those target phones were, for instance, in New Jersey while the defendant was on Long Island.
Yeah,
so that was completely consistent.
It's a wrap.
The other thing that we looked at was we looked at
him guilty
use of burner phones, and we followed, using the grand jury, using the great investigative help from our partners, we followed his use of burner phones. We were able to identify 7 separate burner phones that he used. We were able to use fictitious or fraudulent email addresses and get Google warrants. And from there, we got his searches. And we learned what the defendant was searching. In a 14-month period, he had over 200 searches pertaining to the Gilgo investigation. Not only was he looking at investigative insight, he was trying to figure out how is the task force using cell phones to try to figure out what's happening. What are the developments with regard to the task force? And this really supported our decision to keep our investigative focus secret, because we knew that this one person would be watching, and we didn't want to give him any insight into what we were doing. And we also didn't want him to know just how close we were getting. So we maintained the grand jury secrecy, and we maintained the integrity of our investigation. In addition to those Gilgo searches, he was compulsively searching pictures of the victims, but not only pictures of the victims, pictures of their relatives, their sisters, their children, and he was trying to locate those individuals.
Wow.
In addition to that, there was a lot of torture, porn, and what you would consider, depictions of women being abused, being raped, and being killed. In addition to all of that, we continued to look, and
he's
were
a
able
creep.
to determine that Chevy Avalanche that was used during the commission of the Amber Costello crime, that Chevy Avalanche was in South Carolina. And again, with the help of our partners, we were able to seize that Chevy Avalanche pursuant to a search warrant, and we're certainly going to analyze that. In addition to that, pursuant to the arrest of the defendant last night by the Suffolk County Police Department, we obtained one of his burner phones, his last burner phones. As I said, this case is not over, it's only beginning. We're continuing to execute search warrants, and we anticipate getting more evidence. Before I
Wow.
turn it over to my partners, I want to thank a lot of people in the room. First and foremost, I want to thank the victims in this case. You know, it's always
Exactly.
inspiring as a prosecutor when you get to meet the victims. And while sometimes our defendants could embody the very worst of humanity, it seems that invariably our victims embody the very best of what it means to be human. And in this case, it was no different. I've gotten to know the families, and I'm inspired by them.
I think that's
and I'm
who's behind him.
impressed by their patience,
Family victims.
and by their dogged
victims' families.
persistence in not only supporting their lost sisters or mother,
No doubt.
or daughter, but also really, really standing for victims everywhere. So I want to thank them all so much, and I want to let them know that we're going to continue to work this case. The next thing I want to do, I just want to thank our partners. I want to thank Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison. We said it was a change, and when we talked about not going before the media, if you see, Rodney did go before the media, but it was always in a very controlled manner, and it was always with a controlled purpose. Again, we did that because we knew we were playing before an audience of one person. And so I want to thank Rodney for his partnership. Most importantly, I want to thank Rodney for his integrity. I think in the past, the reason why these various investigations fell short was because there was a lot of outside influence, a lot of people who had nothing to do with the investigation, nothing to do with the investigation or any of the agencies that were actually handling the investigation. They still asserted pressure on those investigations. That did not happen with our task force. Our task force was run by our members, and we did what we thought was in the best investigative steps and what was in the best interest of the investigation. So I want to thank Rodney for that, and his whole team. I know that we have Suffolk County Homicide here, Kevin Byer. We've got Inspector Rowan, and I know that they've been around, and I know that they're here, and I know that they stand in the shoes of their past investigators, and I want to congratulate them, and I want to thank them for their partnership. I also want to thank Sheriff Errol Toulon. Everything I said about Rodney, I could say about Errol. Errol is an unbelievable partner. He was an unbelievable partner in this case. During the pendency of this case, and one of the reasons why we had to take this case down was we learned that the defendant was using these alternate identities and these alternate instruments to continue to patronize sex workers, which of course made us very nervous. But with the help of the sheriff and his database and his analysts, we were able to continually stay one step ahead of the defendant. So thank you, Sheriff Toulon. I want to thank the FBI. I know Assistant Director in Charge Michael Brodak is here. I want to thank his entire team. When you have the FBI, not only do you have tremendous resources and insight, whether it's the Behavioral Sciences Unit, whether it's CAST, whether it's CART, which is their computer unit, but you also have the ability to seize a car in South Carolina. I can't seize a car in South Carolina without the FBI. So thank you for that. And thank you for your partnership. And thank you for your willingness to work with us. I want to thank the New York State troopers. I know Major Udis is here and his team. This case is emblematic of great cooperation, but we always get that same level of cooperation from the state police, no matter what case we're working. So I want to thank them. Their investigators did great work on this job and in this case, and we couldn't have done it without them. Lastly, I want to thank Nassau County Police Commissioner Pat Ryder. I don't know if he's here. Did he make it? This case, as I said, spans 13 years, and during that time,
more than that,
Pat Ryder has been our neighbor to the west. When it started, I think he was a sergeant, detective sergeant, maybe uniform sergeant, but whatever, whenever we needed something to be done or whenever the task force needed something to be done, Pat Ryder would do it, and he would do it quietly without much fanfare. And we know he would keep the confidentiality of our grand jury and our investigation. So I want to thank him for that. And with that, I will turn it over to Commissioner Rodney Harrison.
Wow. Pretty amazing stuff. But this is more than just 13 years. But their investigation, it seems like they just started cracking off last year. So it's amazing how much work they did in just 1 year. And hiding in plain sight too, not telling much to the media so that they can get their man. So that's pretty amazing.
Good afternoon. Today is a good day.
Damn right.
And before I acknowledge the individuals that had a role in getting to this place, I would first and foremost like to offer my deepest condolences to the family members. To the family members of Amber Costello, Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman. I can only imagine what you had to endure over the last decade regarding knowing that your killer was still loose. God bless you.
Do I hug the dude or not?
So I've had the privilege of being the police commissioner nearly about 2 years now. And I have had that investigative experience in the NYPD as a detective, as the chief of detectives. And when I was going through the process of being the police commissioner, my engagement with the county executive was I was very familiar with this unfortunate homicides. And I wanted to let it be known that this was going to be our #1 priority. But I also want to make this very clear that this arrest was made by the investigators assigned to the task force. I announced during a press conference 18 months ago about a new team effort that was going to investigate the homicide, and that was going to consist of
That's what's up.
people from Ray Tierney's office, from Mike Broddock, FBI. Mike, thank you so much. State Police, Steve, appreciate your support. Dr. Earl Talon, Jr., thank you, sir. As well as the investigators from the homicide detectives in Suffolk County. Gentlemen, thank you for all you've done, working together with us, making sure we are here today. I also want to thank my partner, Pat Ryder. Pat, good seeing you, man. And former NYPD Police Commissioner, Keyshawn Sewell, for providing resources to assist in the investigation that brought us here today. So one of my first acts was to survey the scene. When I first got assigned as a police commissioner, me and Kevin Breyer went over to Gilgo Beach. I want to thank Kevin. You know, when I first met Kevin, he broke the whole case down and where we stood. He knew the case like the back of his hand. He worked tirelessly in this case. Kev was in charge of overseeing the task force since its creation, and you did a phenomenal job, Kev. Thank you. So there's something that I learned from a former NYPD police commissioner, James O'Neill, which is in order to fight crime or to solve investigations, you have to make sure you're working with your law enforcement partners. The blueprint in making this arrest was a whole team effort. Everybody left their egos at the door and made sure that they brought the knowledge and the resources to this investigation. Fresh eyes on this case and the resiliency of our investigators allowed us to identify Rex Heuermann. Ladies and gentlemen, Rex Sherman is a demon that walks among us, a predator that ruined families. And if not for the members of this task force, he would still be out in the streets today. However, even with this arrest, we're not done. There's more work to do in this investigation regarding the other victims
No doubt. It ain't
of
done
the Gilgo Beach bodies that were discovered.
yet.
I'm going to encourage anybody that still has information, call our Crime Stoppers hotline, 1-800-220-TIPS. I want to recognize and thank my Chief of Detectives, John. Thank you for your great work. Deputy Police Commissioner Anthony Carter, both of you who provided update information regarding the case and let it be known if there was any resources that they needed that you brought it to my attention. Since the discovery of the first victim, there's been a lot of scrutiny and criticism regarding how this investigation was handled. I will tell you this, the investigators were never discouraged. They continued and uncovered evidence and followed leads. They never stopped working and will continue to work tirelessly until we bring justice to all the families involved. Last but not least, I want to thank my predecessors that came before me, the work that they did. I want to thank them for really laying the foundation that helped us get to here today. Thanks.
Crazy. Crazy, y'all. And it ain't done yet. This case is not done yet. Not at all. Not by a long shot.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Brodak. I'm the FBI Special Agent in charge of the New York office's Criminal Division. The FBI expended its full set of resources in support of our local and state partners to advance this investigation. The charges show that we can overcome the most difficult challenges when federal, state, and local law enforcement work together under one task force. While nothing can fill the void caused by the loss of a loved one, through today's announcement, we are hopeful that the families of the victims begin to experience a sense of peace, closure, and justice, and that the general public feels safer knowing that an alleged killer is no longer roaming free. The actions taken today should serve as a reminder that the FBI, along with our law enforcement partners, will continue to be resolute in our determination to bring all offenders to justice, no matter how many years has passed. I would like to thank Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney and his prosecution team, Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison and the Suffolk County Police Department, the New York State Police, and the investigators and staff of the FBI New York Field Office, including the Long Island Violent Crime Task Force. Thank you.
Short and sweet.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Errol D. Toulon Jr., and I'm the Sheriff of Suffolk County. I would profoundly like to thank the District Attorney and the Police Commissioner for including me not only here today, but for including the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office and recognizing the importance of jail intelligence. It is extremely important when you realize that we created our human trafficking unit in 2018, that there are victims in our community, and that intelligence is being shared by many of the men and women who are incarcerated today. And we have seen many disjointed investigations occur, and leading up to the leadership of these two men have really brought everything together. I am proud that today we stand here a little bit closer to bringing closure to the families and extend my deepest condolences to all of you. Because of the nature of this case, and recognizing that human trafficking and corrections intelligence is so important, we realize that there are many other cases that are going on that we will help to solve going forward. So I thank my intelligence staff and team that are here today for their diligence and their work. While we did our part in this investigation, we continue because we have to house this individual. We have already designated or talked about certain locations where we will house him. And in addition, the security measures we will implement in our facility to make sure that this individual is brought to justice the way he should be. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Good afternoon. I'm Colonel Richard Allen, the field commander with the state police. And I want to start by expressing my sincere condolences to the family members that are here today. Although losing a loved one, you can never completely get rid of that pain, but hopefully these steps that are taken here today are a step in the right direction for you to start in the healing process or work through the healing process. I want to thank the members of the task force, all the agencies you see behind me. When we were approached in 2022 to be part of this task force, we were fully engaged. Glad to be part of this. We assigned investigators on a full-time basis. You know, what you see being done here today is the end game of agencies working together, as was said before, with no egos, all egos put aside, with the sole mission to find justice for these victims. You know, here in Troop L, Major Stephen Udis oversees the operations down here. He has been intricately involved in this task force since we became partners with it. And I'm going to ask him to come up and say a few words or expand upon this a little bit, our role in the task force.
Thank you, Colonel. Good afternoon. I'm Major Steve Udis, New York State Police, Troop L, Long Island Troop Commander. I'd like to take this opportunity to start off by acknowledging the DA, Ray Tierney, and Commissioner Rodney Harrison for having the vision to see that forming a task force might breathe new light into this investigation. The state police were asked in early 2022 to join this task force, and once requested, we were more than willing to do so. We were also very pleased that we were able to make some very meaningful contributions in this case to help propel it forward. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of the task force members from the different agencies and congratulate them on a job well done. I think this case represents an example of what we as law enforcement can do when we pool our resources together and we work together. I would also like to mention the state police member assigned to this task force. You were provided with a mission, and that mission was to participate in this task force, put everything else that you were doing aside, place 100% of your attention on this case, and help push this case forward. You more than accomplished that mission. I congratulate you on a job well done, and I commend you for your outstanding work. To the families, I'd like to say that on behalf of myself and the New York State Police, we offer you our deepest condolences. We recognize that these crimes may have happened years ago, but that pain continues. Our hope is that this development today provides you with some relief and some comfort, knowing that the person responsible for your loved one's death is now being held accountable, and he's no longer a threat to anyone else in society. I want you to know, additionally, that the state police is not done here. We are remaining committed and will continue to support the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, the Suffolk County Police Department, and this task force as we move into the next phase of this process. That's the prosecution. I would also like to say something to everyone watching this with us today. There's been a lot of discussion here today about charges, about the suspect, about what happened, but I would also like everybody to take the time to join with me and keep the families of the victims and the victims themselves in your thoughts and in your prayers. Each one of these victims was a family member and a loved one, and their void and their loss caused great pain, and they did not deserve this. Nobody is deserving of this. We hope this development today will bring some comfort to them as they move forward. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
DA, in court, you said that the investigation had to be cut short at one point because of, I think you were fearing the defendant being but more importantly, the safety of people in the community. Can you just explain that more here?
You know, sure. Before I do that, I'm standing back there. I realized I didn't thank my own team. So I want to thank my chief investigator, Rich Zacharis, who is without. I am so lucky to have. I want to thank Nick Santamartino, ADA Nick Santamartino, ADA Michelle Haddad, ADA Andrew Lee. I also want to thank my chief assistant, Alan Bodie, and I want to thank all of the incredible analysts that we have working for us at the Suffolk County DA's office. So having said that, I will now answer your question. I think that there was a tension in the task force, and it was a good tension because there's a tension between getting the evidence necessary to charge somebody, but also keeping the public safe. And that's the tension that we always deal with. So as we were working forward, we had Suffolk County PD, we had the FBI surveilling the defendant. Obviously, that can't be all the time, but we were reasonably assured with that. But this individual was a person that continued to patronize sex workers at all hours of the night. He continued to use fictitious email addresses, fictitious identities, burner phones. And so as we worked through the case and we got closer and closer, all of a sudden, and we built the evidence, suddenly the balance tips in favor of public safety. So, I think we all wanted as a task force to continue it, but I think collectively we felt that it was time to strike that balance and to take him off the street. So that's what we did. I don't believe they. Does anybody want to say anything? No, they're here. They're. I can tell you they're the Waterman, Bartholomew, and Brainerd Barnes family members, but they're here. They're here first and foremost to support their loved ones, and we're happy and grateful to have them here. This portion had to deal with the deaths of these 4 young women, and that's what we focused on. That was what the grand jury investigation was focused on. I talked about the commonalities, and the commonalities, all of those commonalities that we talked to were unique to these 4 separate cases. So that's what we're working on. I think the other members of the task force said, we're going to continue. And continue to work and investigate and try to get a small measure of closure for all the victims' families. But for right now, this defendant, it's this defendant with these 4 victims. I'm here to talk about what we did with regard to these 4 victims, and as I open my address by talking about the need to maintain investigative secrecy. So we are going to maintain that investigative secrecy. And when I talk about other individuals and other cases, it will be after they have handcuffs on.
Yeah, it's coming.
So, I mean, we talked about some of the evidence that was there. Obviously the that phone evidence was great evidence. And then there were other commonalities. There were other investigations. But I think one of the good things about having a task force is basically you strip it all down. And you start from scratch, and then you use the DA's office, because the DA's office has to get you the lifeblood of an investigation is information. And the way you get information on a cold case is the district attorney's office issues subpoenas in conjunction with the investigators and execute search warrants, again, in conjunction with the investigators. And then you mine all that data and then you let that data take you where you need to go. So that's what we did in this case. And 6 weeks in, the break in the case, a significant break in the case, was the avalanche and the fact that this guy, he was described by witnesses as an ogre. He matched the description of the ogre and where he lived. Well, I mean, it was a lot of things, right? It was his physical size. It was his where he lived, where he worked. The fact that his family members were out of the country at the time of the commission of the 3 murders. The fact that he now then you start looking into him and then you start getting burner phones. Well, we had up to 7 burner phones. He's using these fictitious email addresses. So then you follow him and you get an abandonment sample. Then you go back to some of the old evidence. So it's, there are, I mean, March 14th, 2022 was a huge day for the task force, but it's never one piece of evidence. Well, there's like what they'll call lawman searches. And basically what it is you run a certain make and model of a car and certain other, where you live or what you do for a living. And then you get data and then you mine that data for something that would match with your case. And you do that, you don't do that just, you do that 100 times, until it hits, until you get the right data points. So we can't talk about ethically in New York. We can't talk about any statements the defendant made, but he made. We're not turning over any statements. I would say he was, yes. Yeah. So in between the bed and the cab, there's like a little triangular ornament almost, and it's unique in the way it's configured. It's unique to the avalanche. It was unique to the avalanche at that time, and that was something that was pointed out by witnesses. What? Well, the investigation is continuing, and I would never say never. And we're going to continue to look at, again, now this is a watershed event in this case, and so we've now are going out and we're executing more search warrants. We'll get more information, more data, and together we'll look at that and see where it leads. I'm sorry? Which so this investigation had to do with these 4 victims. So we've been in touch with the 4 victims through the grand jury process. With regard to victims in general and other victims, who lost people in the vicinity of that area, we speak to our victims all the time, but those are conversations that we keep between ourselves. So, so first off, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, the other 3, one went missing in 2009. I believe the others in 2010. She was in 2007. So it was a little bit more remote in time. We are working through evidence. A lot of that evidence has to do with forensic evidence and analyses that are not completed. But once those analyses are completed, we feel good about the case, and we're going to just continue to let that process go. And again, I think the initial plan was to allow the grand jury investigation to go a little further, but at a certain time, again, the task force felt, we need to for reasons having nothing to do with the evidence in the case, we need to take it down.
Sum up this defendant. You've seen a lot. Can you just sum up this defendant and what he is?
He's
Say it, man.
As a prosecutor and as investigators, he is charged with a crime. There are certain elements in which we need to prove that crime. We are going to prove those elements. We're going to work hard. We're going to convict him, and we're going to hold him responsible for what he did, and whether, you know, what I think of him personally, whether I like him, whether I don't like him, doesn't matter. We are going to hold him responsible for what he did in this case.
What he did.
The grand jury is, it's secret, and we're going to keep it secret. But we have an investigation and it is continuing.
There was a belt that was presented publicly by the Suffolk County Police Department a few years ago with initials on it. I think one of the initials appeared to be MH or WH or something along those lines. Obviously, this guy's got an H in his name.
Sure does.
Can you talk about that?
I mean, you know, he has an H in his name. He is, so it's, what was it, HM or WH? Yeah, so he's got an H in his name, and other relatives in his family have a W in their name. What that means, I don't know.
Can you talk about alleged why? Motive?
I think that when you look at his internet searches,
I mean, that says enough.
That, provides a little insight into his state of mind.
Yeah.
And again, we don't have to prove motive. We have to prove the elements, and that's what we're going to do. Well, you know, you said women. You know, with regard to the sex workers, what we did was we had him under surveillance. We had other means of monitoring him. And again, it's a process, and that process is you have to balance the ability to find enough evidence to charge him and hold him responsible with the balance of keeping the public safe. And it's not easy. And we decided at a certain point in time that that we needed to take him down because we didn't feel comfortable with it. So that's what we did. I don't think it was so much. I don't think it was so much the searches. I think that the conduct of the defendant was very consistent. I think, but the quality of our evidence was increasing by the day, by the moment, due to the great work of our task force partners. So at a certain point in time, we're like, okay, we can do this. I believe the cause of death is homicidal violence. Obviously, given the length of time and the exposure to a very harsh environment, forensically, there was not not a lot that could be done with the remains, other than come to that conclusion.
He owned 92 guns. There was a set of the arraignment that
He has permits for 92 guns. He has a very large safe in which guns are kept. We are continuing to execute search warrants, so I'm sure we'll have that answer shortly. I'm sorry?
Is there any concern that obviously he last was known to commit a crime in 2010 and it's now 2013? The passport was stuck in 2022. That's quite a large gap. Is there any concern?
I think there's always concerns. I think, I got into office in January 22. We worked with our partners. We had our first meeting February 1st, and we worked and March 14th was really that watershed day. And when I tell you, I'd like to brag and say that my office was really working hard, which we were, but no other agency was working any less hard than we were. Once we realized what we had and we realized the stakes, all of our partners really worked. I think if you look at the folks standing here, I don't think that, in the last 48 hours, any of us have gotten more than 3 hours sleep.
running boring burn-on barns. How much more do you need to actually tie it into that?
We are going to continue our investigation, and when we are prepared, when we have concluded that investigation, we will, we'll bring that to a conclusion, but we will not do it before.
All right, thank you. You have one more?
Between all the search warrants and the subpoenas, do you ever think that you're gonna lose them? Reading between all the searching around and stuff?
And I don't want to tell you, exact investigative techniques because they're, again,
Yeah,
part of the reasons why they're effective is because people don't necessarily know what that, what it is exactly we do.
Can't show all your
But,
cards.
Always a concern, but given the professionalism of our partners, their diligence and their commitment, we felt good about the case or keeping the case going until we didn't, and then we took it down. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Wow. Amazing turn of events or amazing situation here.
From the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, Raymond Tierney speaking.
Pretty crazy.
And you just heard one of the photographers in the room say that what they are going to do now is unplug and go outside to do reporter live shots.
Yeah.
And we're going to stay here with you live, folks. Hey, actually, hold on. Just take a look at this. The enormous amount of people that were in the room, whether you were with one of the various law enforcement agencies.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a impromptu, if there's I don't know what's going on with their feeds, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's an impromptu interview or press conference outside with the families of the victims' families, their family members, maybe speaking out and being able to say something about these new turn of events or this new piece of information. I mean, this is huge information, guys, right? This is huge. And again, in this kind of situation, if you really, really think about it, this would have been if this was going on the same time that the Idaho 4 Brian Koberger thing was going on, people would have a multitude of videos nonstop covering this particular story, up to the gills, okay, ad nauseum. I feel like this would have been a huge story if these crimes were committed around this specific time. But obviously, it's this was done. The case was starting 13 years ago, and then of course it dies out. It peters out. You know what I'm saying? So it's very, very interesting when we hear all this. And also, I will say this too. It's also interesting because we're going to be saying we could sit here and say, like, I mean, I'm wondering what media was like during that time as well. If there was some crazy obsession, or if there was just just talks of it here and there. You know what I'm saying? I'm wondering what it was like back then, 13 years ago, if there was a prominent true crime community that was talking about it, and all that. I don't know. But it is very, very mind-blowing. The fact that we found out all this stuff, and they were playing a lot of this stuff just quiet. They were just playing everything close to the chest. And a lot of times that's how it should be done, right? I know it's frustrating for us people who are sitting on the sidelines watching. It could be very, very frustrating because all we want to do is find the truth, find out what's actually going on, so on and so forth. We want to get the truth. We want transparency. But when we sit there and we let it fester sometimes, like we've already seen with the Koberger case and many, many other cases as well. It is the whole, idle mind is the devil's plaything. People get really, really creative coming up with BS just so that they can get some clicks, just so they can get some views, so on and so forth. Some people will fabricate audio. Some people will fabricate things just so that they can have something to talk about on their channel. But with this particular case, this wasn't really out there like that. Not that I know of. I mean, I know it was true crime podcasters would talk about it, but not every single minute there's something new going on, and this new infatuation with, you know, the Gilgo Beach serial monster. You know what I mean? So this is very, very interesting. And I'm really happy that this story and this case is getting justice. The families of these victims, the victims themselves, are actually getting justice. But you even heard it from the officer himself, or from the from one of the officers themselves. He said they ain't done yet. They're still trying to pin things on him. They're not going to say anything right now because they don't want to show all their cards. They don't want to show how the sausage is made. And I'm fine with that, as long as it gets them closer to wrapping this thing up and burying him under that doggone prison, period. Sticking everything to him and making it be what it needs to be, So it's pretty crazy that we have pizza. A pizza box is what got him. A pizza box. I mean, among many other things, but a pizza box, pretty damning. Okay. And I will say this too, also. His wife's hair were on some of the victims. Now, that kind of thing, I got questions. One of the questions that pop in my mind is she a primary suspect? Could she be a suspect too? Because her hair was on some of the victims. I mean, I may be asking a ludicrous question, but that is something that I hope we can get answered here in the near future. Because let's be real, you got hair. You got hair, and again, you know, it could be. Whoops, it could very well be Rainy J. It could be just transfer DNA. But I'm just asking the question that I think a lot of people are going to be asking as well. Oh, wait, it's on the victim's body. Could she be involved? Blah, blah, blah. You know? So just asking that out loud, you know? But nonetheless, clearly, homeboy was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. He was out here. He had his Tinder account, what he was searching on his Googles, all that stuff. Pretty damn crazy stuff indeed. Let me hear what JB got to say really quick.
That the suspect, according to Tierney, was honing in on, based on the search history, cell phones and the victims' families. Now, look, a defense attorney, criminal defense attorney, is going to say, my goodness, the entire community was on edge. Everyone was searching about Gilgo Beach. Tierney would argue in this case that the suspect in this case was compulsively looking up information on Google.
That's a good point.
Look, when it comes to digital evidence like that, tying an individual to search history, that a prosecutor is going to have to take a jury down and point to a lot of different factors to prove that it was in fact that person doing those Google searches. But then it gets darker. According to Tierney, the person responsible for these Google searches are also responsible for looking up torture porn.
Yeah,
and that,
I mean,
of course,
I feel like that's the thing that screws the pooch right there. You know what I'm saying? That right there, I'm like, you know, it's one thing to be obsessed. You know, you might be obsessed about a particular crime or a particular unsolved mystery type of murder case. And you sit there and you're Googling it and you're looking things up and you're trying to find out more and more information about it. I can see that happening because, you know, there's plenty of true crimers out here, okay, that are watching or listening that just actively look things up and just want to see if they can solve the case themselves. But when you start looking up snuff content, when you start looking up CP and very violent acts within the adult film category, yeah, that kind of, I mean, that's a dead giveaway in my personal opinion. Okay. But I will let me pull this up here really quick. Yes, Raven, it's transfer DNA, which of course it most definitely It probably is. You know what I'm saying? Then also, Roberta, thank you so much on here. If he was intimate with his wife, okay, then her DNA would be on him. Plus, she was away with kids. She was away with the kids. Okay. Thank you for that clarity. But yes, so transfer DNA could happen, especially when that goes down. And I gotta be honest. I mean, shoot, women's hair is everywhere. Okay, fellas, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, it's everywhere. All right. You go to the gym, you pull out your gym clothes or something, and there's a strand of your girl's hair, just clung onto a t-shirt. You know what I mean? It's everywhere. So I could definitely see that being a situation for real. Especially with this situation. Maybe he just didn't realize he did what he did, but that's crazy that it's those little tiny things that they were able to grab and pin this on him with the quickness. And then during their surveillance of him on the sly, right, in the background, that's how they were able to get his ass and just watch him and then grab a pizza box that he just discarded on the side of the streets of New York, which is basically public grounds, right? So there's no worries about it being evidence taken from the inside of his home or anything. These are things that he dropped off in in a public waste basket, in a public trash can. So now it's for public viewing. It's for public's possession. That is crazy. And then how he had his own Tinder account. He had his own Tinder account connected to a burner phone, and he was hiding in plain sight. Like these photos, the photos that he had of him on Tinder. I mean, clearly it's him. You didn't, and it's funny because he didn't think that his wife maybe would have seen something randomly, or somebody that's on Tinder that it may be friends with his wife wouldn't have seen him on there at random. I know it could. I know the chances are pretty random, but at the same time, still, what are the chances of you being able to see Gilgo Baggins, okay, on Tinder? I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, Randy, he really didn't give a damn. He really didn't give a damn. But then again, I don't know. Maybe they had I don't know. They might have an open relationship. I don't know what they have, but still, that is some crazy stuff. Okay. Yeah, dude looked like an ogre. Dude looked like an ogre. Yeah, he looked like an ogre. Big time. All right. And he even had a Tinder account. Hey, ogres need love too. Okay. Ogres need love too. All right. But man, is that crazy. Man, is that crazy. Let's hear a little bit more. Let's see what they got to say.
Is he the only suspect, or is there more involved? There are more victims. The Gilgo Beach.
He didn't read that right, I guess.
Task force was focused on four victims. Melissa Barthelemy, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Amber Lynn Costello, and Megan Waterman. But there were other victims as well.
Yes. So what he should be saying, how he should be answering right now, I think he misread this. Right now, they are looking into some other people. That's what that officer did say. They are looking into other people, but they don't want to say anything. They said you will know when they have cuffs on them. That's all they said. When information goes down, you will see it with them in handcuffs. That's all he said. So they are looking at certain things, but at the same time, are certain people as suspects. But right now, they haven't gotten anybody else detained. And then also, they don't want to show their hand. So right now, they're going, hey, you will find out when it all goes down. And when it goes down, you'll know. Trust and believe. As far as the other victims, clearly, I'm sure they're doing everything they can to connect those to him as well. But for right now, they are only connecting the 4. They're connecting 4 to this monster. He said the devil walks among us, man, or at least one of the guys said that the devil walks among us. I'm not kidding. That he was out there in plain sight. But again, this is mind-blowing information. Again, no matter what, even though like I'm happy because they done got him, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm really happy that they got his ass. I mean, this dude was out here and he didn't care. I mean, I got some things I got to show you guys. So I'm going to show you a few things, but even though I'm happy about this, you know, I'm doing my little happy dance in my head, you know, happy dance. It's still, I still can't forget about the ones that were lost, the many victims that this monster is being alleged of these lives that were taken by this alleged monster. It's still heartbreaking, you know. It's very, very heartbreaking. No matter how happy we can be, how relieved we got this monster off the streets, this alleged monster off the streets, it still doesn't change the fact that there are still families that are still suffering from this, from their loss of their loved one, and so on. So I do want to say, you know, my thoughts and prayers go out to all the families, you know, that are suffering from this, because every time, I'm sure for the last 13 years, I'm sure that they were a lot of false hopes, right? A lot of loose ends, right? A lot of incomplete theories and conspiracies, I'm sure, that just ran amok. And they're the ones that have to live with this every single day, you know? So I'm hoping we get closer to justice for them, because it's terrible. It's still terrible. Okay. But let me show you guys a few things real quick. Now, this is, I told you I'd come back to this. So I'm coming back to this. This is his search. Like this is the searches that he did on his own computer. I'm going to say this really quick. I will be doing some serious code words in this mother lover, because I don't know how, I don't know where it goes. Okay. Fair warning, but just so you guys know. So why could law enforcement not trace the calls made by the Long Island SKer? That's one. Why hasn't the Long Island SKer been caught? Then Long Island SKer phone call, Long Island SKer update, another update in 2022. FBI active SKers, serial SKers by state 2023. Map of all known serial Kers. Unsolved cases. America's 5 most notorious old cases. 11 currently active SKers. 8 terrifying active SKers, in parentheses, we can't find. John Bitroff, Megan Waterman, Melissa Barthélemy, Maureen Brainard Barnes, redacted name of relative of Melissa Barthélemy, redacted name of relative of Megan Waterman. Cops launch Gilgo Beach Homicide Investigation Task Force, mapping the Long Island murder victims. Inside the Long Island SKer and Gilgo Beach, the Gilgo Beach unaliver criminal minds in Long Island SKer investigation. New phone technology may be key to break-in case. So Then these are some of the these are the sick Google searches conducted on his computer. Oh my Lord. Okay. Wow. I can't even say a lot of this stuff, y'all. I can't even say any of that stuff. Okay? So I'm not going to say it. But you can see it. This is not good. He was looking for escorts. He was looking for Mistress Long Island. I can't even say any of this other stuff. I can't. This whole thing would be deplatformed. I can't even say that stuff. But my Lord, is it bad? That is some bad stuff. Long story short, that's some bad stuff. Now, I just talked about that, but I will be going back to that in just a second. All right. Oh my Lord. So he lived nearby Massapequa Park, where he still resides with his family, but his Icelandic wife was out of town when the unalivings occurred. In addition to the car matching the vehicles seen at the victim's home, police were able to trace phone calls made from a burner phone to the victims to set up rendezvous at the areas surrounding his home and his Manhattan office. Another call was made to one of the victim's relatives after she vanished. That call was traced to his office. Like, that's crazy. Okay. That's crazy. Hold on. I try, man. I try. Hey, I got a family to feed, okay? But like I said, I mean, like, real talk, that is crazy. The stuff that what he was searching, the things that he's putting out, I can't say that stuff. I won't say it on this platform. You know what I mean? But you guys can go to that article and take a look for yourselves. Okay. I'm not going to say that stuff out loud. But again, trace the phone call. Okay. He was another phone call. Another call was made on to one of the victim's relatives after she vanished. So he was taunting her. Remember that we heard that earlier this morning, right? That call was traced to his office. So straight to his office. I mean, literally, I keep saying, how can you say you did it without actually saying you did it, right? And so there's just more and more information that's coming out. Okay. He also used fictitious email accounts and more burner phone numbers for a Tinder profile where he posted photos of himself years later. In addition to the hard evidence linking him to specific unalivings, Huerman, Huerman also conducted incriminating internet searches, which we just talked about. Things with CP, very graphic images that have to do with spicy material. Okay, in disgusting material. Okay, man, no person should be looking that stuff up. So in January this year, after watching Huerman and his family since last March, the detectives in the case seized a pizza box he'd thrown in a trash outside his Manhattan office. His DNA from one of the crusts was a 99.6% match to the hair found at the bottom of a burlap sack one of the victims was found in. I mean, that's it. That's all she wrote. Him guilty. Prosecutors also discovered unidentified female hairs on 3 of the victims, which we understand, I think now it's his wife. They initially traced Huerman to this case by catching a description of his Chevrolet truck to the vehicle he owned at the time of the unalivings. The car was seen at the home of Amber Costello, one of the victims who vanished in September 2nd, 2010. Here is that truck, or here is a truck. Okay. Now, one of the things that I do find interesting, somebody said this earlier, and I do want to say this. During the phone call that Shannon Gilbert had, that 911 call, and there was another 911 call made by a male, and he was like, there's a 14-year-old girl out here in these streets. There's a truck following her, or there's like a Suburban following her. Okay. From the 911 calls, the cops believe that that car that was following her was actually her driver. And he was driving a black Suburban. Okay. He was driving a big black SUV. Now, could that have been the car? The same car that he drove? We don't know. Because the cops believe that she was just there by coincidence. But she is the one. Her passing and her remains being found helped spark this whole thing, help kick off this whole thing. Okay, at least with the 4 that were found gone in that same area. I still feel like there's a connection here, but I don't know. You know, I don't know. This is just so wild. But let's continue on. Chilling similarities can be drawn between Huerman, a married father of 2, and the monster described in a 2011 FBI profile of the Gilgo Beach monster. The profile described a sadistic but charming average Joe who could blend into any environment unnoticed. Have you seen him? He can't be unnoticed. I'm sorry. Have you seen Gilgo Baggins? Have you seen him? Look at him. Okay? That is not somebody you just think melds in the background. Okay? I'm sorry. Just from his stature alone. Okay? Just from his stature alone. This is a big dude. Okay? I mean, at least that's what I personally think. Okay. He lived a seemingly normal average Joe life until yesterday. Okay. He may have sought treatment at a hospital for a poison ivy infection as part of his job or interest. He has access to or a stockpile of burlap sacks. That's what one of the profiles did read. He grew up in Massapequa Park, attending at high school with Billy Baldwin, and started working in Manhattan in 1987. Now, Billy Baldwin, the actor, like of the Baldwins, that's interesting. Okay, that's very interesting. And Yogi, if you like that. If anyone out there is really good with AI and can make and can make him, make Rex look like the Hobbit, like Bilbo Baggins, but it's him. If you can make that and send it to me, please. I'm just saying that. I'm asking. I'm throwing it out to the universe. I know one of y'all is super talented with that kind of stuff. Maybe AI can do it. I don't know how to use that AI stuff yet. But if you can make it and send it my way, I would be utterly grateful. Okay? Utterly grateful. Okay? Because he's Gilgo Baggins in my thoughts. Okay? In my heart. All right? And him guilty as hell. All right? So yes, Billy Baldwin. All right? He was married once in 1990 and again years later to his current wife, Asa LLER, okay, who is of Iceland descent. He and Asa have an adult daughter, Victoria, who works with Huerman at his architectural firm, and a stepson, Asa's son, from a previous marriage. Okay. Part of his job was to negotiate between the city of New York's Department of Buildings and private architects. And we already know about this video that on Bonjour Reality or Bonjour Realty, which, that's now probably getting hundreds of thousands of views at this point. Okay. Raven said, yes, this is Alec Baldwin's brother. That's crazy. Billy Baldwin. Yeah. The blonde, right? Ain't he the blonde? Yeah, I think he's the blonde. Right? Or is he the other one that looks like Alec Baldwin, but just, oh, he does. Yeah. Okay. This dude looks like if Alec Baldwin and Robert De Niro had a child, that's what it would look like. Like, yeah. Hold on. Let me show you what I mean. Let me show you exactly what I mean. I mean, look at the dude. He kind of looks like if Alec Baldwin, right? If Alec Baldwin and Robert De Niro had a child, that's Billy Baldwin. Okay. Yes, Backdraft. But I think that's the only movie I can remember him in. Real talk. Okay. That's the only one I can remember right now. He hasn't really been in much, has he? But okay. But he went to high school with Billy Baldwin. That's very interesting. Okay. Useless knowledge, but hey, that's something interesting. And of course, he was in that interview on YouTube that I'm sure, again, is just blowing the F up right now online. Of course, there's neighbors that are just absolutely shocked, that are just like, this is the most action I've seen the whole time I've lived here, kind of thing. But this is wild to think that somebody who has been allegedly involved with these unthinkable, tragic unalivings, okay, was just doors down from them. Okay. Doors down from them. That's just absolutely crazy to me. Okay. But wow. It is crazy, guys. Obviously, more information is coming out. I will be doing some pop-up videos with some other stuff here on this particular case, because there's a lot of things that we want to know, like who this person is really, etc. And so I will be doing as much as I can as far as researching as best as I can around this, because this is still a very brand new very brand new case for me. I've never covered this on my show ever before. So now that we are getting new information and things are going to be trickling like crazy, I feel like this is going to be a crazy weekend of information just dropping. For a fact, I'm going to be here to give you guys the information as well. So that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. This is dope information. Yo, they really truly believe they have their man. And I think they do too. This is too on the nose. And I get it. There's going to be somebody out here trying to challenge something, trying to be like, oh, but it's the DNA and somebody going to try to spin this and try to make it seem like, oh, he's not guilty. He didn't do any of this. If that is the case, then show me the proof. I want to see the proof. Okay. I feel like they have enough. Shoot, burner phones linking to his work and his private domicile, his own private Google searches on his computer. Okay. The pizza box, the DNA that they were able to get off the pizza, the hairs that were on some of the victims' bodies, and some of them were hair from his own wife. Okay. Which of course I know it's touch DNA, but at the same time, bruh, like, I mean, come on, y'all. Yeah, I mean, he laid it out for everyone. Then also the phone calls, taunting the victims' families. And those phone calls linking back to his office. I mean, it's a wrap, son. It's a wrap. But you never know. Defense will probably be able to spin this in some type of way, etc. That's what they do. That's their job, is to fight back, is to defend their client. But we'll see how this transpires, okay, as more information comes out. And I guarantee you, I think this is going to be a lot more information is going to be starting to trickle out over the next couple weeks. Shoot, probably until he sees the inside of a courtroom and goes to actual trial, okay, and fights for this, unless he actually admits and pleads guilt, right? Pleads guilty, because in my personal opinion, him guilty, y'all. Him guilty. Anyway, guys, I appreciate all y'all for being here. Okay, have a great rest of your Friday. Do something amazing. Do something positive. You know what I'm saying? So please, before you do that, hit that like button down below. Crush it. Make it scream out your name, please and thank you. Oh, and another thing too, if you guys can go over to my video that I just posted before this show, it is the a video about a missing girl that is missing right now as we speak. I know we're all obsessed about this situation, totally understand, but there is a missing woman by the name of Carly Russell. She is she went missing off the side of a highway in Alabama, in Hoover, Alabama, if I'm correct. She was trying to help a little kid. Apparently, she found a little kid on the side of the highway, and she was basically nabbed right then and there at night on the side of the highway, solely because she was trying to be a good Samaritan and trying to help a little kid out. The family is desperately needing all of our help to share, talk about this, and bring awareness to the situation. So please, if you can do me a favor, go to that video. It's a pop-up video I just did before this show. Please go over there, check it out, spread the word, use her hashtag, use the video, share it, whatever, by any means, get the information out here. Let's get this woman home as soon as possible. It has only been less than 24 hours since she's been taken. We are 4 hours, about 5 or 4 hours shy of 24 hours. And you know that the first 48 hours are absolutely crucial. So please go to that video, share it, watch it, consume it so you know what's going on, and then share, hashtag her name, etc. Okay? Hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. And of course, do not forget to hit that subscribe button. You know your boy's working hard out here in these streets. Okay? I appreciate you guys coming in. Have a great weekend. If I don't see you, do something positive this weekend. Do something that relaxes you. All right. But just please do it safe. Okay? Anyway, I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.